There you go, it's set up now. Everything's set up. Everything's working. Okay. Crush 50. Out on the first one out to set a lap. Has gone purple on 2 sectors, as expected, as he's the first one on lap. Coming into the final corners of sector 3 right now. And we're gonna see where he puts that Williams, what time he gets, if it is competitive or not. This will set the benchmark for every other driver to beat. And it is a 1:45.0 from the Williams driver. As second in comes the Ferrari driver. No, actually he's on an out lap. Great. But someone who is actually completing his lap now is the Aston Martin driver with a 1:43, beating that benchmark by over 2 seconds. And 1:42 for the Alfa Romeo driver, or Blur, setting the new fastest lap at this opening few laps of the Belgium qualifying session here. Win Antec coming in 4th place now, as we have the Alfa Romeo driver finally setting his first lap up through turn 1, nice and cleanly, using all of the track, what appears. Coming up through Adion right now, going up to the straight. DRS activated. He's fine. Let's see what time he gets on the first sector. If it is competitive to the other drivers. We don't know yet. But he seems to be flying, trying to get use of all the track here. Going out on the entry curb and the exit curb. As he starts to approach traffic. We'll see where this time puts this man. But while we wait for this, we got for Street here to put his lap. We have the Ferrari of okay, I can't. It goes into the pits instead. Doesn't even finish his lap. But someone who just put a first purple sector here is Caligula, the McLaren driver, setting the purple sector 1, something competitive, against the Blur, who is almost over a second ahead, as Streetlight has now invalidated his lap. But here we go. Caligula, can he set a faster time than Blur? We're about to see. As he heads through the S's of Sector 2, coming to the lowest point of the track, and leaving the rest of an uphill. He's set a purple Sector 2 as well. This is looking good. This is looking promising for him. It's all down to the last sector, the last corner. Can he get a good enough exit through there? Or will he suffer? We're about to see here. Coming into the last second. Last corner through here. Exiting nice and beautifully. Nicely on the power. It is just about P2 by a large margin as well. Almost 4/10. You can see almost 4/10 between the drivers. 3 seconds separating the top 7, as they're the only ones to set a competitive time. But as we can see, we have the second Alfa Romeo driver at on a lap. Seems to be a little bit behind, but it's all down to the last corner. Can he get a good enough grip? Does he have good enough rear grip to be able to set that time in and shoot out 43? He's not there. He sets a time of a 1:45, 46 actually. He's gonna need to come out again if he wants to get a better time for that one. And Streetlight disqualified from the session for parking in a dangerous location. I have no clue where that dangerous location is, but it is somewhere. Let's see now. Caligula out on the second lap, it appears. That would be in his in lap. Take that back. As we sit here in this awkward silence, waiting for the drivers to start getting going on out on the second laps, we are greeted with Wraith, not on a lap, but something at least fast, as he is going out for his in lap, and drivers are coming out for their out laps now, getting ready to set their second lap in. It's going to be thrilling here as we end our closing stages of the qualifying session. First one out on a lap is Blur, as he passes the timing board, and now using all of the track here. Beautiful on the exit, nicely on the power. We'll look at his telemetry as well. He is going flat out through there. He is flying. Getting ready. What will he do? Is it going to be a purple first sector? It is. It is a purple. Oh my god. It is a purple first sector for him. Flies using all of the track. Nicely on the curb. Nicely on the power. Nicely on the brakes. Coming through here. Moving up down towards Puhan. Would it be? Using all of the track. This is beautiful. This is majestic coming from the Alfa Romeo driver. Flicking his steering wheel out all the way to the outside, back into the inside. Coming through the S's of Sector 2 now. Using going nicely on the curbs, 2 tires on top. Nicely on the exit. As Blur here, coming out onto the last corner of the track, nicely on the curbs, nicely on the exit, early on the throttle, setting at 141.7. He has extended his lead, extended his fastest lap by over a second to P2 here. But someone else is on a lap here. Dominic up by 2/10 on his lap. He is looking to set a better time to quite possibly be up at the time with the top 3 drivers. Dominic's now through Puhan, flicking his steering wheel. Beautiful through the corner. We will see where this puts him. Has he improved? Has he lost time? We don't know yet. But it does look promising from the Haas driver here. Hopefully giving some challenge. The 6/10 up. It's looking good for him. He wants to be in the top 5, top 3. To give him that extra bit of track advantage over the other drivers. As he rounds that second to last corner now. Coming in hot. Coming in beautiful. Into the last corner, flings his car out, slingshotting out of the corner, nicely on the throttle. That puts him with a 143.5. He's still P4, but it was a good attempt, and hopefully he has time to get on another lap. But someone who is on a lap and who is invalidated is Caligula, the guy we swore that would challenge Blur on this qualifying session. Now invalidated, then has to go back to the pits to restart his lap. But as we see, Oxen is on low fuel mode, or he's not pushing. So an interesting turn of events. Blur extending his lead to the other drivers. Caligula not being able to put his car in, keeps getting out of the track limits, as we saw Streetlight do earlier. But I'm guessing these drivers will have one more chance to improve their times if they want to, as Crush 50, the guy who set the benchmark earlier, is going on his lap to hopefully improve it and set his car as high as possible for the race start as he can get. Looking real tough. That Williams has some straight line speed, going almost 150 kilometers an hour. 350 kilometers an hour, my bad. My mind is stuck in miles per hour for some reason. But he's improved by a small bit. Where he has to improve now is sector 2 and 3. Will he be able to put that time in? Will he be able to put all this practice in and show that he is a competitive driver within this race here, within this qualification? And he's invalidated. Sadly, he's invalidated. It's not looking good for the Williams driver here. Of course, the two Aston Martins now coming out together as a pack, getting ready for their final run of this qualifying session. If there are other drivers want to go on another lap, they might have to go out pretty soon, as the time is running out. 2 minutes and 30 seconds left on the clock. Things are about to get interesting. Is Blur gonna come out for another lap, use another spare of softs that he had, or is he just going to keep it? He's leading by a comfortable lead at the moment, so he might not even have to go out. He'll just sit and enjoy the rest of the qualifying. Take a little break as the Crush 50 and the Ferrari driver has now retired from the session. Guessing they have given up. Someone who hasn't given up yet is the Alfa Romeo driver, sitting in 8th position. It's coming up to the last corner of this track, last turn, last chicane. Will he be able to put a better time? We'll see here in a second. 143, 144, 145. He's ahead of the oh Jesus Christ. The Alfa Romeo driver is ahead of the Aston Martin driver now. But it's not done yet, as the Aston Martin driver is out on a whole outlap right now, getting ready to claim that it's 7th position back and hopefully even gain 5th. He needs to gain up by 4 tenths. 4 tenths. Almost 5 tenths is what he needs to make up. Is he going to be able to do that? Blur retiring from the session, knowing that he's in P1. He's satisfied with his performance through here. It looks dominant from him, and I'm expecting him to be at the top for the rest of the race as well. But here we have Antec running out through turn 1, up through Radion. Now coming on to the long straight. This is where you need as much speed as possible. This is where you need to slingshot your car through Radion. Eau Rouge. 7 tenths up. It's looking promising. He might even be able to challenge for P5 or P4. Using all the track there, looking beautiful. As he comes in now. Oh, and he invalidates. Invalidates with 10 seconds left on the clock. He's not going to be able to improve. It was looking promising. It was looking beautiful. But he's not. But who else? Someone else who's improving. Or not improving at all. Take it back. 2 tenths down. Is Camelon's, the Aston Martin driver, in P3. He's still stuck in P3. He's going to be stuck in P3 for the rest of the qualifying session unless he pulls something magical on this last corner here. He's got to be on steroids for this corner to be able to at least pull a good 2 tenths or more up. But we will see. 42, 43, and he puts himself. He stays P3. Sadly, he stays P3. But someone who is looking really promising here is Caligula, putting in purple sector 2. This is getting interesting here. Has Blur made a mistake by retiring out of the session? Or is he really that confident? Is he really that confident that the McLaren driver here, with his Google tires, will he be able to put a competitive time? And quite possibly, he won't. He won't, but he does get close. He does get close, putting a purple sector 2 and 3 against the Alfa Romeo driver. The Alfa Romeo driver just barely escaping the grips of that McLaren. But it was looking good. It was looking promising for him. As Dominic's now a 10th down enters his passes the checkered flag, sets himself into 4th position. And here's the driver standings. The top 10, the only 10. Blur in P1 with a time of 1:41.7. Caligula, the McLaren driver, in 2nd. The Polish driver of Chameleons, I don't know if I said that right. Yeah, Aston Martin driver in P3. Dominic's in P4. Oxen P5. Wraith in P6. Crush 50 in 7th. Antec in 8th. Sosti in 9th. And Streetlight in 10th. And Streetlight appears to be having some connectivity issues as he's continuously rejoining the session. But hopefully he'll be here for the race. It'd be great if every driver could at least participate. Alright, hello, welcome to the race. As the drivers make their setups ready and everything else ready for them, ready to push themselves to the limit here. This is where it counts. The qualifying is just to make things make life easier for them, but the race is actually where it's at. So hopefully the guys who didn't do as good during the qualifying session can pull their act together and get a better position finish than what they earlier had. The Alfa Romeo driver and the McLaren driver looking strong ahead of this race. We will see. Making me feel nervous here. Who's gonna come out on top as the lights come on for the formation lap? The Alfa Romeo driver leading the pack, getting ready. I wonder what's going through his mind. He's set the hard tires on. Everybody has set the hard tires on. Top 3 has set the hard tires on, at least. As we look down the order now. Actually, that's a pair of hards on the McLaren as well. Haas, softs, even softs at the rear of the pack. Antec looking to go long in the race as they head through the Camel Straight now. And Streetlight sadly not in the session. Sadly probably won't be in the session for the longevity of this race. Streetlight has left the session. That man could have just waited it out, as I don't think he can take control of the car at the moment. But as they are coming into turn 9, through turn 9, and coming through turn 10, 11 now. This is an interesting grid concerning the tires, at least. The top 3 seems to be running the same tires, but after that it seems to be getting all mixed up between the drivers as everybody chooses their preferred tires for this track. Now, one thing you gotta be careful of while going through this track is on the curbs. Actually, one thing with every racing game is that the curbs hurt the tires a lot more than the regular track will. So you gotta have your car set up, but you also gotta be wary of how much curb you're taking during the race. Do you want to preserve your tires longer? You gotta be staying out of the curbs. Do you want to be pushing a little bit more? Gotta be, you know, pushing on those curbs. But here, powered by AVWS, the tire strategy for the different drivers. Now, of course, as they head into the last corner, doing their little burnouts, getting those rears heated up. That's the most important part of the car that need to be heated up for the race start, as those are the ones that will be spinning the most. Of course, people getting lined up. That Alfa Romeo looks beautiful from this angle. But here we go. As the last cars line up, we'll be waiting. As the countdown begins. 3, 4, 5 lights. And it's race start. It's race start for the all of the drivers here. The Alfa Romeo getting a good start and getting ahead of everybody else. The Aston Martin actually heading into turn 1, trying to pass an overtake, get an overtake going, but just not able to put the traction down, as the McLaren driver just has that overwhelming traction and being able to get his car out. As the Aston Martin driver is now being attacked by both of the all of the cars behind. Actually, it's almost 3 wide coming into going through Camel Straight right now, coming into turn 6. The comps, it's gonna be 5 cars battling each other for positions here. Just hope to God that nobody creates contact. But the Aston Martin driver stays ahead, followed by the 2 Haas's and the Williams, and of course the Alfa Romeo, the AlphaTauri ghosted as the Ferrari just passes right through him. Blur getting a nice lead, but followed right behind by Caligura. He is not going to let this go, but the leaders have already created a small little gap here by almost a second to the guy in 3rd place. It is looking. Is this what we're going to get through the race? A battle between the 1st and 2 and everybody else battling for 3rd position? It is looking real close from behind here. The 2 Haas's giving each other space and the time, but everybody has a different approach of racing. Crush 50 hanging behind, just waiting for his time. He's on those softs, so he has to get ahead of the other drivers now. And Antec just has to get those tires to the end, letting that soft driver ahead, which is a smart play. Those softs are gonna die out easily. But back out to the battle for 3rd position. We can see the McLaren driver and the Alfa Romeo driver up ahead, having their little time of day. They're looking to battle. It's about who can manage the tires best towards the end of the stint, and hopefully get an undercut and overcut, unless they actually battle it on track, which would be lovely to see. As the Aston Martin driver now creating a little gap, small gaps are starting to form between the grid, as drivers with different pace start to give out their times, pushing their tires to the limit, pushing their cars to the limit. And it was a beautiful start from the beginning, but it appears that, oh, we actually had an overtake by the Williams driver. He's actually putting those softs to work. We actually missed that because we were looking at the guys ahead, but as we can see, that Haas is now right on him. And coming into the no-name section, the turn 9, as for some reason it doesn't have a name, but now coming into Puhan, the double chicane. Oh gosh, my bad. I don't know why double chicane come into my mind, but that Williams driver is being trailed by the Haas right now. It's a nice little battle going on. The Williams driver needs to pull his act together, get in the slipstream, or at least the DRS of that other driver. I don't know why the times have been glitched up here, but it's fine. It'll probably reset in the next lap. I'll actually try to reset it right now. It doesn't work. It does not work. But it looks like the Haas driver is keeping his distance. As the he knows that the Williams are on those softs, so he doesn't need to push as hard. He just needs to keep under DRS. But he is coming for a dive bomb down the inside, but he has the outside for the next corner as he gets pushed wide a little by that Williams. I don't think that was willingly, but it looks like the Williams have gained the position back. But here comes another dive bomb, I suppose. No, he's more wary this time. The Haas driver preferring a better exit than a better launch into the corner. He's being backed up by the Alfa Romeo now. What's gonna happen into this long straight, the Camel straight? The Williams have lost. He's lost it completely, and he has a bad exit through the Camel straight now. DRS activated for the Haas driver, and it appears that the Williams driver is gonna need to send it. Is he going to send it? He's not. He's playing it safe, but the Haas driver, oh, a 3-second time penalty for the Williams driver. That is going to hurt. That is going to hurt a lot, in fact. But the Haas driver is getting this position back the same way the Williams driver took it from him. And it appears the Williams driver seems to be struggling. I'm guessing he just cannot get that front end going, as he has the Alfa Romeo right behind him now. The Alfa Romeo giving him a little bit of space, a little bit of time. Just waiting for that nice moment to strike. And is this going to be that nice moment? It is going to be that nice moment. He has the outside for the next corner, just not able to get that exit out, not able to provide enough traction to his wheels as he gets overtaken by the Ferrari right next to him. Oh my god. He's tried to overtake, left his door open, and has been overtaken by the Ferrari in P7 now. He's looking beautiful as they enter the last bit of sector 3 now, heading into the final chicane. As we look ahead, there's become a little bit of a gap formed, but the two drivers in front, just a second, almost a second and a half, a second and a quarter, just difference between them. I think they're just hanging back. They don't need to battle. They just need to drag their tires out. Whoever can last the longest will end up overtaking the other. But we have a yellow flag after the first turn. It appears that the Aston Martin driver has hit his car. Had a little bit of moment, a little bit of skill issue. Oh god, hiccups. Had a little bit of skill issue going, but he is back on. Is there any front wing damage? There is none visible at the moment. But back to the actual fight here. The Ferrari looking after the Williams, sniffing those soft tires, not being able to provide the Williams enough traction. He is going for it. He is going. He's gaining and gaining and gaining in every corner now. Ferrari just superior with those medium tires as the soft tires are starting to wear out. What does the Williams have in defense at this point? The soft tires has already died out after 4 laps. I mean, he must have old softs on. I don't know if this is a bad strategy call from the beginning, or if this is just complete lack of trust in the tires, or if it's something setup related. But it looks like the Ferrari driver is catching up. He might even be able to have enough. He doesn't even need his ERS. He's not even using his ERS for this. He is going on ascent. The Williams driver using all of his ERS up. He does not have any ERS left. What is going to happen? It is looking interesting for the Williams driver here. The Ferrari just hanging back as they both come into turn 1 now. I think he's going to be using all of that extra energy he has left. Coming into the last corner, not the last corner, the Camel straight, as they now head up to Eau Rouge, passing through Radion now. And oh my god, the Ferrari has a little bit of a moment. What's going to happen? Overtake, ERS, DRS, all open. Look at that speed advantage he has over the Williams. He's not going to be able to make the send. He looks into it. The Williams leaves the space, probably suspecting a move done. But now, he's just not able to put it in. But oh, okay. Take it back. I was going to say there's a little bit of battle going on, but it is AI versus player, so I don't think that's going to be too much to look at. But this is where the action is happening right now. Two drivers having less than half a second separating between them. It's going to be an overtake. I can feel the battle starting to brew in. The Williams ahead just not having any ERS left. We can look. He's down. He's flashing. The Ferrari driver knows. Oh, and if we look ahead, the Haas driver is now spun around. And he spins around again. His tires must be cooking right now. He's just trying to get that car rotated, which he does. But back to the battle. The Williams just being sent out to out of the track. He's pushing himself to its limit now. He's used all of his ERS. He's trying to use up more, but he just cannot. He does not have enough traction to get in. And another 3-second time penalty, putting him up to 6 seconds of penalties now. The Ferrari driver, impatient now, just does not want to stick around behind this guy, behind his dirty air. He's just past him now. The Williams driver getting up back at him. And it's contact. It's contact between the two drivers. The Williams driver is just sending it through Pujon. No, E-Rouge and Radion. I'm getting my things mixed up here. And that needs to be looked up by the stewards. Possibly reported by the Ferrari driver. We don't know yet. But the Ferrari driver is in trouble from the Haas behind. But I think the Ferrari driver can pull through now. But he has a massive gap that he needs to make up again. That has had to hurt for the Ferrari driver now. But something that is starting to get close now is the two lead drivers, P1 and P2 here, Blur versus Caligula, as they now have less than a second separating the two drivers. This means that one of them is going to get DRS, but Blur looks like he's used up a little bit more ERS than the McLaren driver, which the McLaren driver needs to get in that DRS as soon as possible, if he wants a chance to attack here. I'm suspecting there's going to be a few more laps until this battle actually hits the fan, as we like to call it. But for now, they are just trailing each other, trailing, saving their tires, trying to preserve everything, hopefully. But someone who is on that Ferrari now, someone who earlier had a spin and is looking to get his redemption and gain a few positions back at least, is Oxen here, making himself ready for an attack. The Ferrari driver pits, which actually turns out to be good for the Haas driver here, because he has DRS and a lot of clear air to just breathe himself and get himself ready for the battle that's going to be happening between these two drivers, hopefully in the future, as the Haas driver also has to pit in the coming few laps, I suppose. I'm guessing the medium runners will be moving on to hards, while the hard runners will probably be moving on to softs or mediums. They have a little bit more strategy to play with compared to the medium drivers. If you stick out on the mediums for too long on this track, it's not going to be healthy for you. If you do, you just need to nail your strategy if you're on the mediums. It's Caligula now, 1.5 seconds behind. He's using a little bit of ERS, trying to keep his gap, trying to conserve that gap that he has. It's looking nice for them. It's looking nice between these drivers. I'm just waiting for this battle to brew on at this point. This is going to be a spectacular battle between these two drivers, and I hope we get to see that action pretty soon. What would help is a safety car. Hey. As we have here, who has the fastest lap? That's something I want to look at. Blur with almost a whole second ahead of the other drivers. Caligula just hanging on by about half a second. Blur has been pretty dominant, looking pretty good. As we can see, everybody has been on the same amount of laps. Caligula just slowly starting to lose a bit of time I feel like he's getting a little stressed. Both managing their ERS pretty beautifully back there. Both having enough ERS to probably last them a battle. Caligula just, I feel like he's just preserving his tires now. Hopefully trying to make it last stint last as long as possible to be able to go on those fresher softer mediums and being able to just shoot past the other driver. Whoa. Things have been interesting so far as the race settles down. As we look at the position changes here, the top 4 staying exactly where they started. Crush 50 just staying, being ahead of everybody, gaining a few positions actually. 2 positions, putting himself up to P5. Owen and Wraith losing out on that, as Sosti gains that 1 position he before had, and Antec losing. So what we're looking forward here is a battle between the top 4. Honestly, at this point, who's gonna be able to, gain positions? Who's gonna lose positions? It's that interesting matter, interesting facts. Who? As we're sitting with Caligula, we'll be switching over to Blur here in a minute. Just keeping a tab check on the drivers around. How are things looking between everybody else? Wait. The gap still 1.5. These drivers are really just managing their gaps to each other. I feel like Blur is just chilling at this point, or Caligula. I cannot tell who's pushing and who's not, but Caligula seems to be there on the same ERS percentage at this point. It's about who can really push now. Who's gonna go for an attack? Who's gonna waste their ERS to go out for an attack now, an all-out attack on the other driver? As we sit on board with Caligula here, coming through, Jesus, Rouge, now coming through the Camel Straight. Going in turn 6, turn 7 here. A little bit of a moment coming out of that corner. Turn 8, that long right-hander, which is really hard to nail. Turn 9, no name, as we head into Puhan now. Oh, we've had a bit of a driver change. I mean, that would be because, Wraith and Crush 50 just coming out next to each other, as both the drivers are now probably be heading into a battle. Crush 50 now with DRS fully enabled. He's just not being able to keep up. He's not gaining enough. Nicely through the S's. Getting a better drive out of the corner. It's looking like an overtake pretty soon by the Williams driver, getting right up to the rear of that Alfa Romeo. Switchback move, and it is looking beautiful. This is a battle. This is a beautiful battle. Down the inside now. Is he given enough space? Yes, he is. They're almost side by side, as the Williams driver is now behind instead of ahead. Sadly losing out on that overtake, but he's getting on ready for another attack here. Setting his car up to be out on the outside. He tries to send it down the outside. Waits for a switchback move. Can't stick the traction down, just not enough. But he's still in the slipstream, using all of his ERS, getting ready, hopefully, as so does the driver ahead of Wraith. it is close between these two drivers. They're pushing each other. They're going out going out of the track. It appears that there's a little bit of lag. Crush 50 gets another 3-second time penalty. That's 9 seconds added to his time. This is a battle for nothing for him, but he is going at it. And that is beautiful to look at. He's still going at it. The Alfa Romeo driver taking a bit of an inside line, giving the Williams driver a better exit as he takes the position. But was this a smart move by the Alfa Romeo driver? Because now the Alfa Romeo driver has that DRS, and he doesn't have ERS. Neither does the Williams driver, but he has the DRS on the slipstream coming into the corner after the camel straight. He pushes the Williams wide. He gets pushed out wide back. He loses out on the position, but all this commotion is causing Zosti to be able to gain time on the drivers behind. Oh, this is brewing up. This is brewing up to be beautiful as it is. It appears that there's going to be a three-way battle for 6th pretty soon. Zosti just hanging out behind, waiting for his chance to strike. His Wrath has now lost out. Crush 50 has gained the position. Gained that position back, and Wrath has lost out. Someone now who's coming out of the pits has done a stint and is looking to extend this last medium stint for 10 laps, as this might actually be a good and viable strategy here, as he's less than a second behind of the Haas. He has ERS, so does the Haas though, but he also has the DRS. He's in the slipstream. Is he going to go for a move? He is. Is he going to stick it though? Here we go. Coming into the corner, gives him enough space, and he stuck it. He stuck it. That is a beautiful lunge down the inside, and just danced it around him, and he's now ahead by over 6 tenths, 7 tenths. All those new fresh mediums, showing his dominant skills over the other drivers. He's now looking forward to undercutting the Alfa Romeo driver. Now, was this a mistake by the Alfa Romeo driver? Because the McLaren now has had DRS, and he's probably looking to get it again. This is going to be interesting. The Alfa Romeo, is he going into the pits now? He is. He's responding to that McLaren pretty nicely. A little bit of a Verstappen versus Hamilton here. Gives me that kind of vibe as they're battling it out, just miles ahead of the other drivers, but just battling it out with each other now. As fresh mediums goes on, a lap younger. Who's gonna come out ahead now? Has Caligula just managed to pull out the undercut? And oh my god, he actually has. Caligula comes out ahead, and is probably going to have the DRS on the Aston Martin driver. The Aston Martin driver just not using all of the track at all, having a bad exit. Caligula just dancing around the outside now, getting that ERS, the overtake on, and he's gone. Blur has really made a terrible mistake by not pitting and preserving. Blur is now looking to push. He has a driver ahead of him that is probably going to try and defend, but it would be best interest for him to just not defend at all. But this is played perfectly into the McLaren's hands as Blur. Oh my god, a little bit of contact. Was that front wing damage? That was front wing damage, and Blur has now got a bit of a trouble in his hands. He's got front wing damage. He is 2 seconds behind, 3 seconds behind his rival, and the McLaren just now having a comfortable time. Lapping, he set a purple sector 2. This might even be a fastest lap for the McLaren driver, but it is looking beautiful. Oh my god. That was an interesting turn of events. He undercut his rival. Not only that, his rival now has a broken front wing. And is he looking forward to continuing, or is he just going to stop and try to regain? He's diving into the pits, and so is the Aston Martin behind. Caligula setting a fastest lap of the session. Look at that purple. He is golden. He's gonna be approximately 20 seconds, over 25 seconds ahead of his nearest rival. And he's just looking to bring his tires home, save those mediums, and hopefully just save everything he has. Save fuel, save ERS, save DRS, not DRS, you can't save that necessarily, but save everything he can. As Blur has now really thrown everything out of the window for himself. 3 positions down, far behind the Aston Martin driver, and all new tires. He is fighting that Aston Martin. As we can see now, the time penalty, there's a 3-second time penalty for the Aston Martin driver. So the Aston Martin driver, in order to gain that, he needs to keep that 3-second gap to the Alfa Romeo driver, which I think will be his greatest challenge of this race so far, as he needs to not only clear the Haas driver ahead, but he also has to, defend himself from that fast Alfa Romeo driver up behind. Using all of that curb, it is beautiful. Inside to the outside, outside to the inside. Coming through Puhan. Now the fast S's, right hand, left hand, not using any curbs. We'll see someone who is using as much curb as possible though. It's a Blur. He is fuming. I can feel it. He's angry at that Aston Martin driver, and I would be too. That Aston Martin driver did kind of force that front wing damage on him. Maybe a little bit of bribing. I cannot confirm anything at the moment, but it is going to be tough. He needs to not only make a 25-second gap, but he also needs to make sure his softs get that time. Now the best he can do now is at least steal the fastest lap from the McLaren, which he will be looking forward to doing. Things have been very interesting, as now 3 seconds behind. He has gained over 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds in one lap on that Aston Martin, and he's looking to gain even more. But the Aston Martin now with DRS on the Haas driver, he's used up all of his ERS in order to preserve his position. But is he going to be able to preserve that position? Because the Haas, the Haas is just right in front of him, making a little bit of blockade with his dirty air, and the Alfa Romeo now coming up to traffic. But as we look behind, though, there's a battle brewing on between the Haas and the Ferrari. The 2 Ferrari-engined cars just pushing themselves to the limit. The Ferrari just letting him pass now. The soft tire is just so much more dominant than the harder tire compound. Whoa. Let's Blur now. Less than a second and a half, really gaining all that time. He's aiming at a P2 finish to this race, but the battle ahead is not finished. The Aston Martin driver really using up all of his resources. We could see a dive bomb coming here, hopefully, into this corner. No, he backs off actually. But the Haas driver, it appears that the Haas driver is just kind of thrown the corner out. But so has the Aston Martin driver. Blur now with a 144, the new fastest lap of the entire session. 3 seconds off his qualifying pace. But this is the battle to look at, because it's a 3-way battle for P3, and I'm looking at P2 actually, and I feel like the Alfa Romeo right now just hanging back. Is he going to be able to hang? He's going to be able to take that position. P3 is on him. He might make a lunge. That's a double overtake. That is cold. That is cold. That is cold. Hanging out. Coming into turn 8. He has taken 2 positions in 2 corners. All nearly in just 1 corner. That is cold. That might be the overtake of the race right there. Even though there hasn't been many overtakes to begin with. But he is flying. already creating that almost 1 second gap. It is a yellow sector 1 as the Antec driver here, the Aston Martin driver, not having the greatest race, and this might look like a retirement. It's not, it is a tire change. It's a front wing change actually. But now Caligula has lapped two drivers behind, but the battle for third has not been finished yet. The Aston Martin driver has to pull out a 3 second gap to the car behind, and maybe even more from the incident they had earlier. So it's been in this dying laps of this Grand Prix, it's been a real mess with everyone around just switching positions, strategies not going well, damage and small collisions, time penalties, and double overtakes. It is looking beautiful. The Haas driver now, DRS, he just needs to hang behind. He knows that the Alfa Romeo driver is way faster than everybody else at the moment. The Alfa Romeo driver being on another league, he's already gained 2 seconds in about 2 laps. That's a second a lap on the drivers, to 1.5 lap actually. That is good, that is fast. That Alfa Romeo driver is not messing around. He's gained 2.4 seconds. He's gaining 10th after 10th in each corner. Those softs really working out for him now. But is it really enough? Because he needs to make up a 23-second gap to the guy in P1. The guy in P1 just absolutely living life right now. He is on the roll. He's set to win this Grand Prix. But of course, let's not give him a commentator's curse, because this man has really pulled out everything. Everything has worked in his favor now. He had a great qualifying session. Great. He has done everything great right now. He wasn't looking so good in P2 earlier, just a few laps before he pitted. But after he pitted, everything has gone good for him. He had a DRS of another driver. He overtook that, had a lot of clean air, and he's just been lucky, very lucky coming through this entire race. He's been very preserving, just waiting for his time to strike, and he got his time to strike, and he striked. He went all in for his overtake, his little undercut that he did, and he worked out perfectly for him. As now Blur has gained a second on him, but I don't think this is enough for him. Blur really unlucky coming through the Camel Straight now. I would be fuming if I was in his position now. Blur has really showed great pace today, and honestly, driver of the day, props to him in my end. He has really shown great strength and just not been lucky enough. He could have got it. He had the pace, he had the strength, he had everything to back him up, but he got unlucky with a little bit of contact as Blur gets a 3-second time penalty, and everything has now changed. He needs to preserve those softs from now on, just make it through the end, as Dominic's on those mediums is looking, on those softs actually, is looking to just keep his gap to P3 now, and hopefully, you know, still at P3 position away for the time penalty. But I think that he's secured his P3 anyways, because that Aston Martin driver is probably going to get another penalty on him. But it is, as the standing seems now, and I hope this isn't the way it ends. I hope something small happens, things get moved around, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be like that for a while now. As in P1, the McLaren driver, who I really didn't see come into P1 this easily and staying there, but he is 20 seconds ahead with luck, with everything. He's done great so far. He's been very patient and just waiting for his moment, and this is his moment. He's shining. Antec with another 3-second time penalty. It is 12 seconds for Antec, 9 seconds for Crush, 3 seconds for Camleons, and 3 seconds for Blur. It is wrapped up as they head into Puhan here. Really just keeping himself within track limits now. He doesn't even need to do that. He could go out all the way out if he wanted to, but he's keeping himself composed. He knows that the softs behind him are not going to be able to last until the last lap. There's only 3 laps left, and 20 seconds in 3 laps must be Thomas Ronhard pace, because we all know that man is on steroids. Oh my god, someone has gone off, and it is the unlucky Aston Martin driver. Just not going well for him. Not going well for him at all. We've seen the terrible of this Grand Prix and the good of this Grand Prix. As Dominic now 2 seconds behind. He must be stressing as he's slowly just losing more and more time to the guy ahead. He wants to be in that 3-second gap. But if he continues like this, he might not be able to get it. So this is going to be a showdown to the last lap. This is going to the last lap. Is the Aston Martin driver going to be able to keep his P3 and stand on the podium with the other 2 greats with him? Or is he going to lose out on that time penalty? We're about to see. Streetlight still having connectivity issues, man. Poor man. He showed something. He showed that he could do something here, but he just didn't have the Wi-Fi to prove it. As now Dominic's heading up to the Camel Straight after Rive Rouge. Camel Straight now. He is looking to keep his 2-second gap to the Aston Martin driver. He needs to. This is his only chance to keeping that. As Caligula gets a 3-second penalty. A lot of penalties going around. Only a few slick drivers. And I feel like penalties is going to play a key role in positions at the moment. Because somebody's about to lose a whole position over it. But he seems to be pulling himself out. That last desperate attempt to keep his P3. He's 2.7 seconds. Dominic's just has to push himself just a little bit harder. Abusing his track limits. Possibly getting a warning or 2. He needs to push. He needs to risk it all to get that. And he seems to be doing just that as he's slowly gaining and losing. Can't seem to decide. He's gaining. He's doing both. He's gaining and losing. It's all down. It's lap 21 out of 22. Caligula looking neat as we sit down with him now. What does this look like? He's on his own mind. A Sunday drive for him, even though it's a Friday. But it feels like a Sunday drive for him at the moment. He's 20 seconds ahead of everybody else. Oh my god. He's had such a good race, and I feel like he might have to celebrate it after this one. He might have to go buy a lottery ticket as well after that luck. He is done absolutely beautiful today. And so has the driver behind him, being able to gain those positions back. Now sitting in P2. As Antex is now DNF'd. That is his 2nd time out on that. On Ero Rouge, sadly. That's his 2nd time spinning out, and that is the last of him. But as we can see now, this is going to be the last lap coming in pretty soon. Dominic's has to pull out something now. He had P3 right in his grasp, but he's lost it now. He needs to gain half a second to the car ahead. He needs to abuse his track limits a little bit more. He needs to get his car out, get his elbows out. Is that rain? Oh my god, that's rain! There's gonna be rain on the last lap. And it's gonna be down to the driver who can keep his car out on the track. This might actually turn out to be better than what it is. This Dominic's might be able to, if he can keep his car on track, he might be able to gain another position. The mediums driver now comfortably in P3, just 8/10 up. He needs to just keep his car on track. Watch out. Dominic's just not being able to grab the traction at all. It's wrapped. It's raining. It's wet. But Dominic seems to be gaining a lot. In fact, he's gained a few tenths in just a straight. Dominic's just having to now keep his car under control, which he does seem to be able to do. He's gonna need traction. Crush 50 with another 3-second time penalty. Crush 50 just being nowhere at the moment. Dominic's, we're looking at Cam Leon's. He's been patient. He's got at that penalty, but he's patient. He's nice and easy on the throttle. He's nice and easy on his car. He's patient. He is gentle. But oh my god. McLaren, I think, spun, but it doesn't matter. He's won the race. Caligula in P1 crosses the line to take first place by over 20 seconds. P2 now, Blur. Nice and beautiful. He had pace. He had everything for him. He got unlucky. He lost out on P1, but he comes home, take P2, coming out of the last corner now. All he needs to do is a 22-second gap between the drivers, and Blur taking it home in P2. Great work from the driver. Beautiful work from both P1 and P2. Cam Leon's, everything finally paid out. That strategy with the mediums paid out for him, and he's now P3. Dominic's in P4. Crush 50 coming through sector 2 now. Rain really played a key part. Dominic's not able to handle the pressure under the rain as well. His car was sliding while the driver of the Aston Martin driver just not having to worry about anything. But it looks promising. It looked promising. They all did beautiful, great battles. Blur with a two car overtake. He overtook two people into one corner. As now Crush 50 having a little bit of a moment. It's a long way back from the other drivers. Oh boy. It's Crush 50 gets put back into P3 P7. Wraith now coming through sector 2. These cars at the end here have had a little bit of unlucky moments. Just not being able to show the true pace, I believe. But it's been beautiful. They've done their utmost hardest work and shown that they have potential, and shown what they're capable of. Seen some beautiful battles from this man. And Crush 50 defending his position, but just losing out on penalties. He was doing great. The Ferrari driver, absolutely beautiful work. The two Haas's showing that they had potential. Dominic's just losing out on the end lap on a podium, but everything was good in the end. He takes home P4. As the game's driver of the day, Zosti. I'm terribly sorry if I pronounce your name wrong. The Ferrari driver taking that driver of the day. But the McLaren driver at the top now as the podium, the Norwegian driver, shown his pace today, shown what he can do. With a bit of luck, this is what a man can achieve. It's been beautiful from P2 to P1. And overall, great racing from all of these three drivers here. Great driving, showing both patience, skill, and absolute monstrous pace. And this is the finishing order. Caligula P1, Blur P2, Cam Leon's P3, Dominic's P4, Oxen P5, Zosti P6, Crush 50 running P7 after having a few penalties on him. Streetlight just not being able to get on the race. He was just gone this entire time. Wraith P8, Streetlight P9, and Antec with a DNF in P10. thank you everyone who came around and watched this. It's going to be a real pleasure to be your commentator for today. I hope to see you in the future. And thank you everyone. Beautiful racing from the drivers as well. And I hope to see you another time.